They are the wooden equivalent of katana, or also called samurai sword. In this video I'm going to be talking all about the Bokken selection and related products we have at Enso Martial Arts. I'm going to be going through individually every single Bokken and just give you all the key features on each of those individual Bokken, speak a bit about why we need Bokken, who uses them, and at the end I'll put together a short montage of people training with Bokken. Hi, my name's Doug Swift. I've been doing martial arts for the past 33 years and I've been the owner of Enso Martial Arts for the past 16 years. If you're liking this video, click the little icon, subscribe to this channel and get all the latest videos and updates from Enso Martial Arts. So let's get into this video and learn all about the Bokken selection we have for sale at Enso. So we pride ourselves on having a wide range of Bokken. In fact, we couldn't fit them all in the rack here, so I've got a few just sitting over there that I will talk about in a bit. Now, if you delve into the world of Bokken, you will start to realise that actually there's an unbelievable range of different Bokken out there, and actually the differences between them become smaller and smaller and smaller. So at Enso Martial Arts we supply just the majority of Bokken that most people will want to use, and a few variants of. We don't go into the crazy rare stuff. We'll leave that for the absolute specialists, and we'll stick with the Bokken that the majority of people in martial arts will come across and use it day to day in their martial arts training. Now, when I say Bokken, I don't just mean Bokken, I kind of mean Japanese training swords. So as well as Bokken, we also have the Shinnai and we have the Wakizashi as well. So it's a bit of a wider scope than just Bokken, but in the majority, it's Bokken. For those of you who don't know, what are Bokken? What actually are they used for? Well, they are the wooden equivalent of katana, or also called samurai swords. So the samurai would have these incredibly sharp, incredibly expensive swords that they train and fight with. However, they're so sharp and they're so expensive, it just doesn't make any sense to do any partner work or sparring with live swords. It's such a dodgy thing to do. Really, you don't want to damage your sword when training. You also don't want to chop your training partners in half. It's a very quick way to lose people to train with, and you'll end up just being very lonely and having no one else to help you improve and develop your martial art. So what was very quickly invented, I'm sure, and almost popped up at exactly the same time in history, was the wooden Bokken. So it's the wooden equivalent of the katana. Now, they tend to do them in exactly the same dimensions of the katana, not always though, and we'll get onto it later. So you've got a wooden equivalent to train with, and you can do all your partner work, your practice partner drills and sparring. It's not completely safe. Being hit with a wooden Bokken still really hurts, but in comparison to being hit with a katana or a samurai sword, it's a lot better. Also, that little knock or bump gives you the idea that you could have got hurt. So if it was completely pain-free, then it wouldn't really be a particularly good training tool. So that's why Bokken exists, and some styles have gone so far in with training with Bokken that they don't actually train with katana at all now. Styles like Aikido will only train with Bokken and don't really ever go on to katana. I'm sure there are examples where this isn't the case, but in the majority, Aikido is known for just using Bokken. Another benefit of Bokken is they, compared to katana, are incredibly cheap. So you're able to train, you're able to get a feel of training with the Japanese sword without having to fork out hundreds of pounds. A much better way to train. Also, they are made out of wood, so they're not completely indestructible, although we'll come to that in a bit. If you do break it, it's not actually going to break the bank. You can just replace it and move on. Now, in terms of being indestructible, the majority of Bokken are made out of wood. So if you do have a wood Bokken and you're smashing hell out of it and you're smashing walls and other people's weapons and just going completely crazy, at some point the wood will give. It is just a natural product. It's not made out of like unbreakable materials, although we'll get to that in a bit. So take it easy with wood, you know, use it as it was intended, as a training weapon for doing drills and partner work and improving your sword art. But you know, if you do want to do full-on sparring and you do break your Bokken, it's not the end of the world. They are meant to be disposable to a point, so you can move on. Now at Enso Martial Arts, I hope we provide really good Bokken so they won't break that easily. But you know, I'm just warning you, if you go completely crazy, you may break it. So let's have a look through the selection. I'll just give you a few key features of each of the different Bokken that we sell. The first one is the very standard red oak Bokken. Now this is something that you will see in the majority of like sword related classes, Japanese styles that are training with Bokken. The mainstay of most of these martial arts will be the red oak variety. It's the most common, tends to be the cheapest, very durable, and a pretty cheap, cost-effective wood to use. So the majority of Bokken you'll see, and probably the ones that nearly everybody starts with, is the red oak Bokken. If you wanted to just upgrade just a little bit and just go for the next level of Bokken, it's probably going to be the white oak Bokken. Now there's a lot of debate about white oak and whether it's a better wood or whether it's stronger or lighter or you know, harder, or some people say chi flows better through it. I haven't found any of these things to be particularly true. You know, I've been selling them for 16 years. To me, white oak is just a prettier wood. It looks nicer, and that's why most people will be tempted to sort of upgrade and get the white oak wood. It's a slightly rarer wood, that's why it's just priced a little bit more. But yeah, in terms of strength and durability, it tends to be the same as the red oak, just slightly prettier. Now we do also sell black oak Bokken. Now these are just painted red oak, so again, very durable, very nice, sleek looking Bokken. The majority of people that are picking these up will be the ninjutsu guys. They really like that black theme, being stealthy, and yeah, the majority of guys will use these. Also, there's been a few people that come in for like cosplay and anime based stuff, and they will pick up the black Bokken as well, partly because it's already painted. These things are easier to paint, but yeah, most of the people will be ninjutsu guys. Now the next one moves us on to the sort of mentioned earlier, the different shaped Suburi Bokken. Now this is a very traditional training weapon. This is designed for solo practice only. It's not designed for sparring in any way, hence why it doesn't have a tsuba on it. So all of the ones that I mentioned earlier have tsuba. This does not, because it's only designed for training practice. It's meant to be long and it's meant to be heavy, and it's all about working those shoulder cuts. So getting really strong shoulders, getting really precise cuts. Now a lot of people pick this up in the shop and they go, oh, it doesn't feel that much heavier, it doesn't feel like it will give me really a workout. It's quite a bit longer, and it's also about 50% heavier than the standard Bokken. Doesn't sound like much, but after you do 100 cuts on each arm, you'll really know about it. So this brings me on to the Bokken that's not made out of wood. So this is the cold steel unbreakable Bokken. Now cold steel have made this out of a plastics like a polypropylene, and it is unbelievably tough. They guarantee it and say you will not break it. Now I'm sure there are ways to break this if you really went absolutely crazy on it, but if you use this for training, you will never break it. Used for sword, used for training, used for sparring, you will never ever break this. This will last you a lifetime. The only downside of this is that you may start breaking your training partner's weapons, so it's a really good idea if they get one of these as well. Cold Steel also make the Wakazashi version of this, the Cold Steel Wakazashi version, made of exactly the same material, virtually unbreakable, a really good addition to getting the Cold Steel Bokken. Really nice. Now they've weighed these two weapons, the Bokken and the Wakizashi, to mimic the katana and the Wakizashi like a metal sword. They haven't tried to mimic the weight and balance of a wooden sword. So transitioning from this onto metal is really easy, because it will feel so familiar when you're moving from one to the other. Now as well as the Cold Steel Wakazashi, we also do a red oak Wakazashi, which we call the red oak Shoto, which is the proper name for the wooden equivalent of the Wakazashi. Now this is really good if you want to move on to training with the middle length sword as well as the full length Bokken. So yeah, much rarer sword. People don't use these so much, They're much less common within the sword styles. It tends to be the more advanced people using these. However, we do get some really young kids getting these, so it's usually dads buying them. They want to train with the Bokken, and they're 5-6 year old, you know, can't pick up the weight of the Bokken. The child Bokken are still too heavy, so they get these as well. Now also in this category are the Shinnai. Now we do these in the 38 and 37 rating, so the 38 is just slightly longer. Now I know they're not Bokken, but they are a kind of wooden training weapon based from the katana, and it's evolved from there. Now the kendo guys, which is really the only people that use these, unless they're using them as styles are using them as a training aid, they've made them out of bamboo, which is very strong and very flexible. There's hardly any martial arts weapons made out of bamboo. It's nearly all rattan, but this is the exception, and the kendo guys will use these almost exclusively above anything else. Sometimes you'll see classes using Bokken. So yeah, these are for kendo, very, very strong, very flexible, but they, you know, they will go eventually. And we sell these as well in our Bokken category. Now we do also sell a foam Bokken. So for people that really want to practice sparring and are just sick to death of getting wooden Bokken whacking against them, getting all those lumps and welts, a foam Bokken is a really, really good idea. They're still like tough and solid, but they're much more forgiving than a wooden Bokken. So something like a foam Bokken is a really good idea if you want to go at it sparring. Now something that's been very popular since we've started getting them in is the plastic saya. So you can practice all of your drawing, especially the EI guys will want to practice drawing, but they will do it. You see a bit in jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu and ninjutsu, a fair bit, that people want to practice drawing. Now, so a plastic saya is a really, really cheap option to do this. Now, the red oak Bokken fit this, the white oak Bokken, black oak Bokken, and the cold steel Bokken. Also, the Wakazashi and Shoto do fit as well. You may want to cut off the end so you can, you know, to tie it to your obi. Nearly all of the Bokken that we have at Enso, the ones I've all mentioned, all fits the plastic saya, so you can practice your drawing. Now I'm not going to go through all the dimensions and weights like I usually do in my videos. It will just take too long, it'll be pretty dry. So in the description I've got a list of all of the individual Bokken that we have at Enso, and in each of those product pages you'll be able to see all the dimensions and weight. I've written it under every single one. So if you've got any questions, you can give us a call or an email, or just go onto those product pages and hopefully I'll answer most of your questions just through those descriptions. So as promised at the beginning of the video, here is a short montage of people training with Bokken. Thanks very much for watching. I hope it was useful. I hope you learned loads about all the Bokken and related products we have at Enso Martial Arts. If you like this video, click the little icon, subscribe to this channel and get all the latest videos and updates from Enso Martial Arts. Thanks very much and I'll see you soon. Cheers!